Having already platinumed 5 other Call of Duty games in my stellar trophy hunting career, including Modern Warfare 2, World at War, Black Ops, Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, and the other Modern Warfare 2, I decided to relive my childhood and take it back to where it all began, to platinum. To add another shiny platinum trophy to my cabinet, something Spurs fans know nothing about, I would need to first play through the entire campaign on veteran difficulty, which most likely isn't going to be an enjoyable experience, as the AI in COD campaigns share many similarities with the people who play Call of Duty on PC. They use dirty little aim and wall hacks. Lucky for me, I don't have to worry about that for the game's first mission, FNG, as there's not an enemy in sight, and instead I'm introduced to the controls like I'm some noob that's never picked up a controller before, and not the 1,000+ hour human turret that I am. In this mission, I can pick up my first 3 trophies, and after learning the basics, I head over to meet the squad, where I first set eyes on the cigar-smoking, war crimes committing, favourite captain of every man for the past 20 years. Captain Price. After losing myself in his eyes for a few moments, I snap out of it as he tells me I need to put my decades of Call of Duty to the test
to run the cargo ship solo in less than 60 seconds.
Which obviously wasn't going to be a problem. 23.2. Okay, maybe I was going to need a couple of tries. Luckily, my natural gaming talent kicked in, and after a few more attempts, I smashed Gaz's frankly pathetic time of 19 seconds with a cool 17.2, which also gave me my first trophy, new squadron record. As I was now on a roll, and already the sharpest shooter in the squad, I decided to rub it in even more, and follow this trophy with another, best of the best, for beating the time of 15.1 seconds, supposedly set by some dev at Infinity Ward. The same Infinity Ward that cranked up skill-based matchmaking so hard that everyone hates modern Call of Duty online play, just to protect little Timmies and 50-year-old casuals from getting slammed too hard. Yeah, those guys. Like any of those crybabies set at 15.1. But as I'm no pussy, I ran it back a few more times before hitting a swift 14.9 and earning my second trophy. After that, I finished the mission and I picked up one more trophy, earn a winged dagger. After showing everyone how clearing a cargo ship is really done, we start the next mission, Crew Expendable, ready to do it all again. But instead of targets, it was some real bad guys. For finishing this mission, you earn 2 more trophies, Make the Jump and the Package. After waiting for Price to smoke his cigar, we rappel out of the chopper and take the guys on the bridge. Next we make our way downstairs and take out a jolly sailor before murdering his friends in their sleep. Having cleared this side of the ship, we make our way across and downstairs, clearing out multiple waves of enemies before finding the container with the nuclear cargo, ready for exfil. Unfortunately, there was no time, as we're told,
"No time, Bravo 6. 2 bogeys headed your way fast. Grab what you can and get the hell out of there."
So I grab the manifest and proceed to make my way back to the deck. In a scripted few steps, the ship gets hit by missiles from the MiGs. Price, like the good captain he is, helps you up, and you then have to make your way off the sinking ship as fast as you can. But not that fast, as the game doesn't allow you to sprint. So after leisurely making your way through the sinking ship, you jump into the chopper, nearly falling into the murky waters below, before being helped up by Price again. As you fly off into the distance, the ship sinks and you get 2 trophies for finishing the mission. Blackout is up next, and with it 2 more story related trophies, Dancing in the Dark and The Rescue. This mission starts off with you trekking up a river to meet Russian loyalist Kamarov, who has intel on the location of the captured Russian informant Nikolai. Before meeting Kamarov, I get my first taste of what veteran difficulty has to offer, and at pretty much the first opportunity, I pick up my first death of this campaign. In real life, this would have been the blissful end of my military career, but in game, things would only go downhill from here, as this turned out to be one of the missions with the fewest deaths. Once meeting Kamarov, you push up the hill to a lookout point over a village where Kamarov's men are already fighting the enemy. After toggling on some wall hacks and taking out a few machine gunners through the walls, I then proceed with Kamarov through a burning building towards the power station, where I picked up another death. After clearing out this area, I make my way to the top of the power station, where I picked up my first miscellaneous trophy of the game, 4 of a kind, for killing 4 enemies in a row with headshots. Having looked at the trophy list before playing, I knew this was something I had to get done, which is why I went through the trouble and shakily picked off 4 consecutive headshots. But unimpressed with my sniper skills, Gaz has had enough and threatened to throw Kamarov off the cliff unless he tells us where Nikolai is being held. Finding out his location, we rappel down some conveniently placed ropes right next to where we were standing, and after killing the power, we head inside with our night vision goggles on and take out a few enemies before clearing the building and finding Nikolai tied to a chair upstairs. Or at least, so I thought, before this camping little bitch pops around the corner and takes me out for another death. And then again, as I'm not good at learning from my mistakes. After rescuing Nikolai, we reach the chopper. That I'm not allowed to enter without Price going first in case I fall out again, before flying off into the distance happily ever after. Well, until we get shot out of the sky a few seconds later. Charlie Don't Surf takes us away from the iconic Soap McTavish to bring the first of a 4-mission journey as US Marine Sergeant Paul Jackson, which includes, in my opinion, 2 of the worst missions in the game, but we'll come to those later. We'll also pick up the trophy The Search for completing this mission. You and your team are tasked with searching for Al-Assad, who is transmitting a video from the broadcast station, but little do you know, he's not there, which, truth be told, isn't surprising for the 4th mission in the game. After making my way through the first building and picking up a couple more deaths, I headed back outside through the COD 4 map Ambush, dying a few more times before making it to the broadcast station. Here, we're faced with a large room full of desks and TVs, but more importantly, a shit ton of enemies. If you're strategic with this, you can make your way through relatively unharmed, as long as you avoid the quad stack of grenades and the random guys running up to beat you down with the butt of their gun. After this, you make your way upstairs to the broadcast room, smashing down the door to find nobody inside. And with that, we reach our next trophy and the end of the mission. Unfortunately, there's no escape from Jackson just yet, as the next mission, The Bog, picks up in the early hours of the following morning, where Jackson's unit has been redeployed to find and rescue the tank War Pig stranded at the other side of the city. For suffering through another Jackson mission, we're also awarded the trophy Save the Bacon. After making your way off the bridge, you get the opportunity to save Private Roysowitz on the stairs for the trophy Rescue Roysowitz. And like the true hero I am, I decided instead of saving him, I would get us both killed instead. But on the second attempt, I managed to save him correctly and get the trophy. As this mission is pretty sucky, I don't really want to talk about it anymore. So you shoot some tanks with a javelin, regroup with War Pig, kill an anti-air gunner, pick up another trophy for knifing some shitter in Last Stand, and regroup with War Pig again and finish the mission. Following on from the helicopter crash at the end of Blackout, we pick back up with Price and the gang for the mission Hunted. After getting picked up by Price yet again, which is becoming a bit of a theme, you make your way towards the nearby enemy village. You see a farmer being harassed by enemy soldiers, and if you save him, you get the trophy Man of the People. But despite saving the farmer from an early grave, the trophy didn't pop, so I'll have to revisit this one later. The main objective of this mission is to stealthily make your way to an exfil location, but the AI don't really get the memo on this, as they find you at every possible opportunity and the helicopters of death constantly patrol the skies looking for you. When making your way across the first field after saving the farmer, a helicopter starts searching for you with a spotlight, and you avoid detection by lying in the long grass. Then, after getting the all clear from Price, a truck full of enemies arrives, knowing exactly where you are, and then calls the chopper back for some extra reinforcements. For killing 3 enemies rappelling from a single rope, I picked up the trophy Reinforcement Denied. After not killing everyone, since they seem to spawn infinitely, Gaz opens the door into the basement of the house you're hiding next to. But the hitbox is smaller than the list of trophy Spurs have won, so I ended up getting killed before I can fit through. On the second attempt, I make it through and into the building, only to die another few times inside. After losing the will to live at this point, I resorted to the iridescent playbook and started snaking the AI in the hope that they can't hit me before making our way out to another open field we have to cross. Like the previous one, I don't know if this part is coded for us to be detected, or if it's just the fact that Nikolai is standing out in the open, perfecting the subtle art of not giving a fuck, but we end up getting detected a bunch of times, which all resulted in deaths on the tally. Eventually, I managed to make it to the greenhouse, where the death counter was about to jump some more, as the chopper gunner had his coffee this morning and repeatedly fisted me over and over, until I finally got the last laugh and shot the fucker out of the sky. After making it a little further, the gas station in front of you explodes, thanks to friendly AC-130 cover from above, who I'm guessing thought it was more entertaining to watch me suffer for the last half hour, rather than help out. This mission ends with 14 deaths, and then I don't even get a trophy for finishing. Death from Above has you switching roles after the last mission, as you get to man the AC-130 this time, protecting Price and the gang as they make their way to the extraction point. Unlike the last mission, they do actually give you some trophies for finishing this one. Death from Above and the escape. Unless you're inhumanly bad at video games, you should also pick up the trophy straight flush at pretty much the first opportunity for killing 5 enemies with 1 shot from the AC-130 gunship. Nothing really much to say about this classic Overwatch mission, but it's a nice break from this brutal campaign, and it ends with Price and the gang safely reaching the exfil. The worst mission in the game, War Pig, is up next and has you back playing Jackson, picking up directly where the bog left off. After killing enemies in an area you already cleared last mission for some reason, you then get to the COD 4 map Crossfire, where you're tasked with escorting War Pig down the main street. This mission sucks ass, and has you clearing building after building, rooftop after rooftop, as they just dumped NPCs anywhere and everywhere on this one. Like, why is this guy hiding in a wardrobe? Seems like he's the only guy in the Middle East not afraid of coming out of the closet. Anyway, after a few times getting blown up by a car and generally having a miserable time, I got the trophy Explosion Man for killing 20 enemies with explosives in a single level, since the noob tube to clear every building was the only thing keeping me sane at this point. After a few more deaths, you make it to the end of the street, where the War Pig tank toggles on wall hacks to take out the enemy tank through the wall, before you get back onto the chopper to fly off, where you get the trophy for finishing both of the last 2 Jackson missions on Veteran. Shock and Awe is our final mission with Jackson, before he gets nuked. But again, these missions suck, so his sacrifice is worth it. And we'll also get the trophy The First Horseman for finishing on Veteran. This mission starts off with you manning the gun on the side of the chopper with absolutely no cover whatsoever, which obviously means we're going to die a bunch of times. After landing in the multiplayer map Backlot, you have to regroup with a team pinned down in the construction site. Not realising these were my teammates at first and trying to blow them up repeatedly for a few minutes, I pushed into the site and died to a guy camping in a corner before regrouping upstairs. You then have to make your way back to the chopper through the middle of the map for some reason, rather than just going back the way you came and avoiding all the enemies. After you escape, you're flying away and get reports of a nuke in the city. One of the helicopters around you goes down, and you nobly decide as a team to land and pick up the pilot. Surprisingly, given the rescue section of this mission had a time limit, I didn't actually die at all, and made my way to the down chopper, picked up the pilot, and I carried her all the way back to the helo without a scratch, plopping her down as a job well done so she can live another day. Or, in this rather unfortunate case, only another few minutes, as not long after taking off again, the nuke you were warned about explodes, downing your chopper and killing pretty much everyone on board. Maybe if we'd left that pilot to die, our team could have made it.
Bye, have a great time!
But I guess we'll never know. But the good news is, no more Jackson missions. You get one last glimpse through Jackson's eyes at the mushroom cloud before collapsing to your death. Act 2 starts with the mission Safe House, where you get the trophies The Second Horseman and Wrong Number for finishing. After speaking to Simple Jack,
got a good brain.
You learn that Al-Assad is hiding in a building in the village, but you don't know if it was this building, or this building. So I die many times before finding out that actually he wasn't in any of them, and instead I need to check the building at the top of the hill. Turns out, much to my surprise, he wasn't there either, but after checking one more building, we find him in a barn on the edge of the village. And after violating the Geneva Convention multiple times, we earn 2 more trophies and find out the man behind everything isn't Al-Assad, but instead Zakayev, who Price knew from his past. Taking a walk down memory lane for both myself and Price, we head back in time 15 years to Pripyat for probably the most iconic 2 missions in Call of Duty history. First up is All Gillied Up, which, whilst iconic, is actually pretty slow paced and not that entertaining, as stealth is key, which means this is actually a walking simulator with next to no shooting. After sneaking past the first set of enemies, on the second attempt, as I got eaten by a dog the first time round, you then make your way through the church and to an open area where a group of enemies and some tanks spawn randomly. The only way through is to carefully crawl past them to remain undetected and avoid getting turned into red mulch by the tank treads. You then make your way past some more guys and through some containers before crawling under a row of cars somehow without being seen, and through a set of apartments until you get to the building where Macmillan drops the famous line,
50,000 people used to live in the city. Now it's a ghost town.
After walking out of the building, the mission ends, and for doing it without alerting any enemies, you get the trophy Gillies in the Mist. One shot, one kill follows straight on from the end of All Gillied Up, and this time you get 2 trophies for finishing, the shot and piggyback ride, which is very much deserved after the struggle of this mission. It starts with you atop a building with the trusty 50 cal in hand, waiting for Zakhaev to arrive for the meeting. Despite Macmillan's clear instructions to compensate for the wind and bullet drop, I had a disaster class and missed many attempts before finally hitting my mark. And for quickly taking out Makarov, the main villain of the Modern Warfare 2 campaign, in one of the background cars, I snagged the trophy Time Paradox. After blowing off Zakhaev's favourite wanking arm, the chopper instantly focuses on your position, despite staring right at you only seconds before, and fires a missile in your direction. But luckily, you manage to rappel out of the building just in time. This is where the luck ends in this mission, and the pain sets in, as I'm about to go through one hell of a ride. You get hit with a timer to get with Macmillan to the Ferris wheel for Exville. Truthfully, the timer is pretty pointless, as I'm not sure it's even possible to run out of time when you die so often. After clearing the first few waves of enemies, you and Macmillan shoot down a chopper, which proceeds to make an emergency landing on Macmillan's legs, meaning you have to carry him for the rest of the mission, which makes the veteran difficulty even more problematic, as it takes way too long to put him down, and if you see an enemy, you're basically as good as dead. Fortunately for me, his ghillie suit works like Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, so we don't have to worry about him dying, as the enemies can't see him, but sadly, they can still see me. After finally making it to the Exfil location, you'd think this mission would be over, right? You'd be wrong. Very wrong. This is where the mission really takes a turn for the worst, as you have to defend Captain Legless over here.
But you ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dane.
Against endless waves of enemies and dogs for over 8,000 meters of helicopter flight. And speaking of dogs, I managed to get the trophy Down Boy Down for surviving a dog attack, which was about time given how many times they'd killed me so far. Most people deem this to be the hardest mission in the game, but fortunately the devs over at Affinity Ward left a back door.
These are back doors, aren't they?
And created an almighty cheese spot where the enemies decide not to push, which makes life much easier. Once the chopper arrived, after sitting patiently in a corner for 5 minutes, in my excitement to get this done, I forgot Macmillan.
Where's Macmillan?
And then ran out of time after picking him up, so I had to do it all over again, this time successfully. And as a reward for saving the cripple, I get 2 more trophies. Returning to the present day, you pick back up with modern day Price for the mission Heat, which has you playing through the exact same mission map as you did in Safe House, except this time in reverse. There are 3 miscellaneous trophies you can earn on this mission, but in my haste to stop playing the game, I missed them all, so I'll have to come back to them later. After fending off waves of enemies and retreating back to the barn, you then find out the chopper can't land here due to SAM sites nearby, which Price was less than thrilled about.
Oh, he's got him taking a piss!
So you have to make your way back through all the enemies to the bottom of the hill. If only the chopper had arrived sooner, you could have just waited there at the start and skipped this entire mission and saved everyone some time. Sins of the Father follows, and with it 2 more trophies, the Third Horseman and Desperate Measures, plus the opportunity to kill some more Russian soldiers. Zelensky would be proud. After taking out the group in the diner and finding my 15th intel for another trophy, we don the Russian clothes and then set up an ambush to capture Zakhaev's son, Victor, so Price can commit more war crimes to make him give up his father's location. After failing the ambush, Victor makes a run for it, and you chase him through the town and up an apartment building. In a rather selfless and kinda badass respectable style, instead of giving himself up, he blows his own brains out in front of you without giving up his father's location. And with this act, gives us our next 2 trophies. Turns out Zakhaev wasn't particularly happy at his son's death and was probably still miffed about Price taking off his wanking arm, so he decides to step things up a notch and get ready to launch nukes at the US mainland, which takes us into the 3rd act of the campaign and the final 4 missions. Ultimatum has us firstly go find Griggs, who gets waylaid at a bondage party, before then proceeding towards the missile base, ready to take down Zakhaev and stop the nukes from launching. Unfortunately, as you approach the end of the mission, you find out it's too late, as 2 nukes launch from the base right next to you. All In follows straight after, and has you fight your way into the military base to stop the nukes before they reach USA. After taking out your first tank, you push forward to the area they use for the map countdown, where you have to take out 2 more. This time, I found a javelin, which saved having to use smokes and C4, thank God. After clearing the base, Grig cuts open a ventilation shaft and you rappel into the base, ready to start the next mission. No fighting in the war room was, for me, the most frustrating mission in the game, but we do get the trophy The Ultimatum for finishing it, so I guess that's something. You start by clearing multiple different areas, with what feels like endless waves of enemies, before getting to the war room to disable the missiles. The first area wasn't too problematic, But after moving down the stairs further into the base, things really get annoying. Not only is the map design set up for an unholy amount of crossfire, but it's topped with the fact that the checkpoints are buggy and being reset back a section is a pain.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I made it through the second section hoping my struggles were nearly at an end, and then died in the final area not long after, and I got reset all the way back and had to do it all again. Losing the will to live at this point, I just decided to run it down with flashes in the noob tube, and surprisingly, it worked a treat. So if you're doing this yourself, I'd give that a go. After making it back to the final section again, I truly had my morale broken. Whoever designed this area needs to be locked up, because this should have been illegal. This area is the same on both sides, so it doesn't matter which way you go, and it consists of the most ridiculous insta-kill crossfire the world has ever seen. If you peek on one side, you just die to the guy on the other side, and even if you manage to kill one of them and you think you're in the clear, you're not, as more AI take their place. I shit you not, this took me forever to complete, and I even managed to get the trophy Daredevil for killing an enemy after I flashed myself in a pure fit of panic. After finally making it through, after too many deaths to think about, you exit the end of the side tunnel to find Price and Griggs walk straight down the fucking middle corridor. You can see I was shocked as I even had to check where they came from, as that area was completely blocked for me. With the end of the mission in sight, you breach your way into the war room and disable the nukes before making your way to the exit to chase down Zakhaev, who you saw escaping on the CCTV. Thankfully, all this pain and suffering wasn't for nothing, as you do get the trophy for finishing as the mission ends. The final mission of this campaign, Game Over, has you chase down Zakhaev whilst on the back of a truck, trying to survive waves of enemy trucks chasing you down. Given you have next to no cover, I died a bunch of times, but after successfully making it through and surviving a chopper blowing up the bridge, you get the opportunity to avenge Griggs' death and finish off Price's sloppy marksmanship from 15 years ago by killing Zakhaev. For completing the game, I get the last 3 story-related trophies. The 4th Horseman for completing Game Over on Veteran difficulty, Win the War for completing the game on any difficulty, and my wife's favourite trophy, Deep and Hard, for completing the game on Hardened or Veteran difficulty. Now that the story and pain of Veteran is over, I can sit back, relax, and boot up Recruit to get the last 15 trophies. Loading up Crew Expendable twice allows us to get 4 of the 15 trophies. Desert Storm for finding the Desert Eagle and killing 5 enemies with it, and then after restarting the mission, 3 of a Kind for killing 3 enemies in a row with your knife, Retro Shooter for completing any level without reloading your weapon, and Master Ninja for completing any level using only the knife to kill enemies. All much easier now I don't have to worry about the cracked out veteran bots. Next, I decide to tackle the frustrating Your Show Sucks trophy, where you have to destroy all the TVs showing Al-Assad's speech in the mission Charlie Don't Surf. What makes this trophy so annoying is the TVs are located throughout the mission and not just in the broadcast station at the end. Some of the TVs get destroyed in gunfights by either the enemy AI or your own team, and if you don't shoot the TV yourself, then it doesn't count for the trophy. I got to the end and realised I'd missed a couple, so I had to backtrack before going to the last room with the final TVs. If you're doing this trophy, just make sure to follow a guide and it'll make it a lot easier. After this, I decided to make it back over to the bog to get the trophy Feel the Heat for destroying all 4 tanks on the overpass with the Javelin missile. And whilst I was doing this, I also managed to get the trophy Roadkill for killing 2 enemies by blowing up a car, which, to be honest, I'm not sure how I didn't have that already. Hunted allows us to save the farmer we failed to do so the first time round, and after multiple further failed attempts, as for some strange reason the trophy is only awarded if you kill the soldier at the exact right time, I added this to the tally. With only a few trophies left at this point, I had to go murder some dogs. Sorry RSPCA, and the best place to do this was at the start of All Gillied Up, as if you alert the first 2 enemies, you have 3 dogs come and attack you. Run this back a few times and I got the trophy Dogs I Hate Dogs for killing 20 dogs with a knife. After this, I could proceed a little further into the mission to get the trophy Man vs Machine for alerting the enemy helicopter in All Gillied Up and taking it down. There's a cache of Stinger missiles in the bottom of the church, but the chopper hits pretty hard even on Recruit, so it might take a couple of tries to do. For the last 3 mission related trophies, I needed to load up Heat to find and use the hidden cache to get the trophy Man in the High Tower. After using the cache, you can then head back to the downed chopper and wait for the reinforcement choppers to come. Shoot down these 5 and then make your way back up towards the barn, where you can find some RPGs sitting against the fence to shoot down the final 3 choppers for the trophy Fly Swatter for destroying 8 enemy helicopters in heat. And at the same time, because you use the RPG, you get the trophy Bird on the Ground for shooting down an enemy helicopter with an RPG. The last 2 miscellaneous trophies had me hopping back through the missions to get any intel that I was missing to get the trophy Eyes and Ears for finding 30 enemy intel items, and at the same time getting kills with the last couple of weapons I hadn't used for the trophy Weapons Master, which was the C4 in Blackout, the M60E4 from Game Over, and the Scorpion from Mile High Club. And then it all came down to this, the trophy I had been dreading, the trophy that gives trophy hunters like me sleepless nights, Mile High Club. For those of you who don't know, there is a bonus epilogue mission after completing the game, and this is that mission. On Recruit, it's no problem. The bots are terrible, and you get enough time to join the real Mile High Club before finishing.
What do you mean by that?
Veteran, however, has no such luxury. You have to kill a lot of enemies in 4 different sections of the plane, all in the space of a minute. So when I say this is going to be a long and painful ride, I mean it. After an hour of repeatedly getting fisted, it all came down to this.
Weapons free. Tango down in Section 1 Alpha. Hostile neutralized. Hostile neutralized. Move up. We got a whole breach! Get down! Get down! Hostile neutralized. Stairway clear. Multiple contacts. Tango down. Keep moving. Hostile neutralized. Tango down.
Okay, I didn't manage it. But to me, dying to the last guy was good enough. So like all sane people would at this point, I cheesed it. Fortunately, there's a glitch on this trophy where you can run the mission on Recruit and get to the final hostage scene, save and quit. Load up again on Veteran and insta-quit the game as soon as the mission starts loading. And then after rebooting, click Resume, where it'll then put you right back at the hostage scene with the game thinking you're on Veteran. Sneaky little trick, but it does mean after saving the hostage and jumping to safety, I get the trophy for completing Mile High Club on Veteran, and with it, the Platinum. This trophy took me a measly 11 hours, probably less time than I've spent editing this video, and would have been less if I cheesed the Mile High Club sooner, which is much less than the 30 hours suggested on PSN profiles. All round, it was a good nostalgic trip down memory lane, but for me, wasn't anywhere near as good as the Modern Warfare 2 remastered campaign that I platinumed last year, or the original game back on PS3 in 2010 when I was 14. If you're still here and want to see me platinum some other games, hit that subscribe button, leave a like on the video, and drop a comment letting me know what games you want to see next. Up next is Star Wars Outlaws. I'll see you in the next one.